Hi everyone, in some of the previous videos we have been discussing about sockets and socket programming. In fact, in the previous video we have completed TCP sockets, and today we are going to grasp UDP sockets or connectionless socket. First of all, we start with DatagramPacket. Signature of DatagramPacket is here. Public final class DatagramPacket extends object. As you can see, DatagramPacket is final class, and class declared as final can't be inherited, and obviously every class in Java is subclass of object class. But the question comes in mind, what DatagramPacket does? The simple answer is DatagramPacket stores our message. DatagramPacket is used to implement a connectionless packet delivery service. If you are aware of UDP or connectionless service, then you know that in connectionless service, packets are not delivered in order and might take different paths in order to reach destination. Additionally, packet delivery isn't guaranteed. Constructors of DatagramPacket. First one, public DatagramPacket byte array integer length. This constructor is useful for receiving packets. Byte array stores incoming datagram, and length specifies number of bytes to read from incoming packet. Therefore, length must be less than or equal to buffer length, because if we specify greater length, then Java will unable to store larger data in small space. Example, DatagramPacket message is equals to new DatagramPacket buffer and 1024. Second constructor, public DatagramPacket byte array integer offset integer length. This constructor is also useful for receiving packets as well. Byte array and length is similar to previous one, and offset specifies from which index position incoming packet will be stored in byte array. Example, DatagramPacket message is equals to new DatagramPacket buffer 2 and 4. Third constructor, public DatagramPacket byte array integer length init address and integer port. This constructor is useful for sending packets. It makes a message that is in form of byte array. Length specifies length of the message, and as we have discussed, length must be less than or equal to buffer length. Init address and port specifies destination host and destination port respectively. Example, DatagramPacket message is equals to new DatagramPacket byte array's length, init address local, 1300 port number. Then fourth constructor, public DatagramPacket byte array buffer integer offset integer length, init address integer port. All arguments are same as previous one except offset. In this constructor, offset specifies index from which message will be sent. Suppose our message is hello and offset is 1, then message will be sent as ELLO. Let's see example. DatagramPacket message is equals to new DatagramPacket byte array offset 1, byte array's length -1, init address local, integer port. One thing you should consider is offset 1 and length -1. The total of offset and the length that we have specified in argument must be less than actual length of byte array. Methods of DatagramPacket. First one, public init address get address returns the IP address of the machine to which this datagram is being sent or from which the datagram was received. Second one, public byte array get data returns the data buffer. Third one, public integer get length returns the length of the data. Fourth one is setter method, public void set data byte array buffer integer offset integer length, sets the data buffer length and offset of the packet. Then fifth one, public void set data byte array buffer sets the data buffer for this packet, and by default offset is set to 0 and length is equal to buffer length. Sixth one, public void set address, inet address, I address sets the IP address of the machine to which this datagram is being sent. Now it's time to move towards another important class called DatagramSocket. Signature of DatagramSocket is here. Public class DatagramSocket extends object implements closable. Closable is an interface that has method called close that can be invoked to release resources. But again the question comes in mind, what DatagramSocket does? This class represents a socket for sending and receiving datagram packets. It is similar to the socket that we have seen in the previous video. As we know, socket is an endpoint of two-way communication link. If you want to know more about it, then you can check it out my previous videos. Constructors of DatagramSocket. First one, public DatagramSocket without arguments throws socket exception. Constructs a datagram socket and binds it to any available port on the localhost machine. Example, datagram socket is equals to new datagram socket. Socket exception is thrown if the socket couldn't be opened or the socket couldn't bind to the specified local port. Second constructor, public datagram socket integer port throws socket exception. Constructs a datagram socket and binds it to specified port on the localhost machine. Example, datagram socket is equals to new datagram socket 1300 port number. Then third constructor, public datagram socket integer port inet address I address throws socket exception. Creates a datagram socket bound to the specified local address and port must be between 0 to 65,535 and must be free. Example, datagram socket is equals to new datagram socket 1200 port number inet address dot get localhost returns an object of inet address pointing to the local machine. Then fourth, public datagram socket address bind address throws socket exception. Binds to specified socket address. Socket address specifies IP address and port number. Example, first of all we created socket address object, then we give it to the constructor. Methods of datagram socket. First one, public void bind socket address throws socket exception. This method does similar to the previous constructor. Second one, public void connect inet address integer port connects the socket to a remote address. There is a difference between bind and connect. Bind is a method for binding local machine's IP address and port number for the communication, while connect is used to connect to the remote location or remote address. Third method, public void disconnects the socket. Fourth one, public void receive datagram packet P throws IO exception. Receives a datagram packet from this socket. When this method returns, the datagram packet's buffer is filled with the data received. This method remains in blocked state until datagram is received, and the length field of the datagram packet object contains the length of the received message. If the message is longer than the packet's length, the message is truncated. And last method, public void send datagram packet P throws IO exception. Sends a datagram packet for this socket. The datagram packet includes information indicating the data to be sent, its length, the IP address of the remote host, and the port number of the remote host. In the next video, we will practically apply what we have seen in this video. Until then, this is Vishnu Radhanpura signing off. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe us. If you have any doubt about the video, you can ask me on the comment section. Goodbye.